Amazing Series. So how can we talk about rebuilding Liberia when we do not talk about the economy and money? And I found right here with me Mr. Dennis, who is the money man. He controls the money here, I like to believe. So we're here to ask him questions about the state of the economy in Liberia, how it's moving forward, and why people should invest. Mr. Dennis, thank you for joining us on Amazing Series.
Well, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Mr. Dennis, you're the perfect person to ask the question, which is Liberia open for business?
No, it certainly is open for business. We have the basic fundamentals here. We have a free, open economy. We have resources that are largely undeveloped. I guess the question would be, is the world ready for us? We are certainly are ready to take on the world. I think we've had certain disadvantages, as the setbacks, all right? But within each setback, I think there are also opportunities. And what we've seen, one of the major changes that have happened since the rebound of Liberia is the conversion, for example, of the electricity grid. Prior to the war, we were somewhat tied into this 110 system. It was a very difficult decision to switch to the 220 because we had everything built up, around then, passing out to the United States. But since the war, due to the destruction of the entire infrastructure, particularly electricity, we've had to rebuild it. And in rebuilding it, we rebuilt it based on a 220 system, which allows us now to integrate into the West African grid. And as you may know about the geography of Liberia, have tremendous resource potential in terms of power, hydropower generation. So that in itself is attraction for investment. The hydropower, which allows us to now export to all of our neighboring countries and produce enough and cheaper sources of electricity, which in itself again can spur our competitiveness, and again help rebound the economy.
And one of the things that has been a bit of a culture shock for me has been the realization that Liberia is still heavily dependent on the US dollar. Surely this can't be too good for the economy.
Well, I wouldn't say we're dependent on it. We use it. It facilitates trade and transactions. And my own view, Liberia has the potential to exploit that to an advantage. It certainly facilitates a trading with the international community. We maintain accounts, individual accounts, both in US dollars and Liberian dollars. You have this free flow of money. So investors again have that comfort. They bring their money in, they can easily take it out.
But that in itself is a disadvantage because it's hard to keep money in the system. Because if you go to a different West African country that spends, say, Naira or cedis, you have to, when you're in the country, you have to convert into the local currency. You can't just come and take the money right out. So there's the sense that money cannot be retained within the Liberian economy, and that's a fear that many people have, that it's hindering the economic progress of Liberia.
I disagree with that. The best way to retain money in a country is not by legislation or by law, all right? It's by having peace, first of all, in your country and around your boundaries, stability, consistent development agenda, and so forth, all right? When you have to start legislating things and doing things by force, by command, all right, then you get the appearance that, yes, it's good for you. But the fundamental in any economy, especially a free enterprise economy, is just what it says, free enterprise, all right? Just as you're free to import and export goods, you're free to import and export money. And the fundamental for that, for keeping money where it is peace and stability.
So now people are saying, what business can I invest in? There are people who are watching this right now who know that you have your pulse on the economy of Liberia. You're the money man, as I introduced you as, right? So they want to know what can I come to Liberia and do that's going to generate profit for me and my family?
Well, a lot of people ask me that a question, and I said if I knew all the answers, I'd be pretty rich myself and wouldn't be here. But this bank, has been around for 45 years or so. We've been through the good times and the bad times. We've had our share of successes and some failures, and I think we have learned a lot in the process. We have been able to sit down for a while and determine what sort of business models seem to work more successfully than others. Now, one example, if we look at the rubber industry, which has been very successful, it's the right now is the largest source of exports for the country. When we had iron ore was the number one, but now the last several years, rubber has been king, so to speak. And you see the way the rubber sector has developed. You had a very clear and well-established export market where most of the rubber was sold to major markets, United States, even in the Far East. You have here initially there was one major producer, Firestone. Now you have several manufacturing concerns.
Now, how easy is it to get a loan from Liberia Bank of Development and Investment?
Well, I would say, if you can meet all the conditions, all right.
Well, give me two conditions that people have to meet so they can start thinking about it.
Well, there's several conditions, but clearly one has to have, a good business plan. In the simplest form, you have to have a market, obviously, for your product. You have to be able to satisfy that market in terms of product quality and all those other variables that are required by the buyer. All right, you have to be competitive. All right, in terms of quality, in terms of pricing. All right, quality product, and of course the more upfront thing, the character of the individual. Is this person have the willingness to pay? Because we have people who are able to pay and just not willing.
Yes.
All right, and we have to evaluate all of that. So we have a very good project, all right, but if we detect that your character is questionable, then of course we will not proceed. Yeah.
Are you guys hiring?
Well, I can tell you this: we've expanded over the last few years to about 15 branches. In particular, over the last 3 or 4 years, our level of employment has gone up, has more than doubled. All right, we're just a few 2-3 years ago, we're maybe about 150 employees. Now we're up to 300. So I hope that answers your question. Market.
Excellent. Well, I could tell you that Liberia is open for business, but I think it would be better if it came from you, people in the diaspora, wondering if the economy is strong enough to support them and if Liberia is open for business. So if you could address them directly.
Yeah, Liberia is certainly open for business, again, based on our several years of experience. We encourage those, particularly at abroad, to capitalize on their experiences, their contacts abroad. The market here is small, all right. So if you're importing goods here, it may be very difficult, very competitive, all right. But we've seen there are larger volumes and greater opportunities abroad. You just have to find your product niche where you have your skills, your contacts, and so forth, things. So yes, and one last point, being first is important. Don't wait around for someone else to do it and copy. All right, come in, try and be first and do it right. Thank you.
Excellent. So you've heard it. Liberia has sharpened its competitive edge, especially on the financial sector. So, Mr. Dennis, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you too.
And thank you for informing our audience on why they should be returning home to Liberia. Amazing series.